for our listener, this is Garrett Owen.
Aha.
Fort Worth singer-songwriter.
Hmm?
Do you identify as that?
I identify as that now, even though I lived in every neighborhood in Dallas except Oak Cliff over a 10-year span. But my upbringing was nuts. I've lived in so many places that people get tired of introducing me because they know that I'm going to talk for 5 minutes about where I'm from.
Well, talk for 5 minutes about where you're from.
Okay. My parents were missionaries, and I was born in San Antonio, but when I was 2, we moved as a family to Tanzania.
Big move.
Mm-hmm. And we...
Long drive.
Long drive. Big old drive. So many Serengetis to cross. And just for people to get like kind of a grasp of how large Africa is. Tanzania looks like one of the smaller countries in Africa, right? Its square mileage is about the size of Texas and New Mexico combined.
Oh my God.
So that my really, really earliest childhood memories were in super rural Africa. So from age 2 to 8, I was in super rural Africa, and so my parents, whenever we needed supplies, we would as a family cross the Serengeti and go to Nairobi, Kenya to get supplies, and then drive all the way back across Texas and New Mexico combined, basically that kind of distance to go back to our rural home in Tanzania. Which I say rural home, I don't mean a hut or something. It was a home with sheetrock and doors and.
It's all built?
No, it had been built probably by some Brits in decades.
Colonialism stuff?
Oh, earlier, yeah.
Interesting.
But it had third world country things going on all the time. Like the electricity went out every day. We had generators to supply electricity that we relied on daily. Lots of weird critters that you probably don't experience in the American neighborhood upbringing.
Yeah.
Like I remember one of my earliest memories ever was watching my dad take a pair of pliers to pull porcupine quills out of the German Shepherd's faces. Because we had 4 German Shepherds for protection out there, but they would get in fights with porcupines in the middle of the nights, and they would just have like a face full of porcupine quills. And I remember watching the middle girl dog. Her name was Gretel. My dad was just trying to politely pull these porcupine quills out of her face, and she was just yelping and yelping. But you
didn't learn, right?
I don't think I don't know. Yeah, we had this German Shepherd named Pecos, and I think he kind of learned. He was I don't know. I like to think he was the smartest dog I've ever seen. But my early life. I have a sister. She's 1 year younger than me, and so our early life was really crazy. It was really interesting. We crossed the Serengeti a ton. So a lot of my earliest memories, I thought just everybody, saw lions before they were 4 and 5 years old. I thought everybody was seeing giraffes like swing their necks at each other. I think I had this skewed view in this weird direction about what reality is like for most people. But I also got exposed to levels of poverty really early in life. I got to see what hardcore poverty looks like in third world countries. And so that's informed my American view to kind of like, well, Americans just have no idea what real poverty is.
Right.
But
we don't. And I'm sure your like sense of reality is still a bit skewed.
Yeah, I find that I feel like seeing, I had planned on seeing you and Ryan for over a month. I think I put it on my calendar before I even went on tour that y'all show at Dan's
last Thursday.
Yeah, on Thursday. And I almost cried when I got back in my car because it was so nice to, even though Ryan and I were never super close, but it had been so long since I'd seen him that there was just this warmth about it. Like we played, we did gigs together. We did a number of song swaps together around between 2012 and 2015.
Mm-hmm.
But that was actually a time when I wasn't really taking music very seriously.
Well, that's interesting because you have a record that I found today, or an EP from 2011.
Exactly.
And so you're just kind of dipping your toe in at that point?
Well, the EP came out, and like most singer-songwriters, I had zero business sense, and that's still kind of true. It's still true for me that the best things that happened to me music-wise are things that just kind of happened to me. But I put out this thing in 2011. I still think for an EP that is me and one guitar singing, and I just sang and played into a mic, I think it's a pretty strong example of that type of album. Somebody just sitting and playing into a microphone, and this cat.
We're talking about Slightly Foreign from 2011.
Yeah, Slightly Foreign. It was It was recorded by this guy that before working with me, he had just gotten done recording an Eagles album.
Oh, Chris Bell?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know that guy.
It was recorded with him in his apartment. He basically just pressed record, and I sang and played my songs into one mic.
He's a good engineer.
He's a good engineer, and he had pieces of equipment in there that were worth, $12,000, and he had access to a lot of really high level gear.
I wish more people's first recordings were that.
Mm.
And I was thinking about this when I was listening to your newest record. I kind of identify you as a solo performer.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the production on your record. It sounds really good.
Thanks.
And I'd love to see you with a band, but I do really identify you as a solo performer. And there's records that I have. This came up on Thursday. I like John Prine, and his records are really good and they're well produced. But when he did this one, when he started his own label called Souvenirs,
oh yeah,
where it was just his road band, and it's almost like those are kind of the definitive versions of the songs to me. His voice is a little worn, he's older, but that's how I want to hear it.
I think tell me, is my favorite version of Christmas in Prison on that album? I think it
Probably.
is. I think it is.
I think it is too.
Yeah.
So that's yeah, it is. Here.
Tell me what my favorite.
Yeah, it is. So I remember like talking with Cass Haley one time, and we were talking about production. He was working on a record, and he was like, if the song's not good with you sitting in front of a microphone with your guitar, it's not going to be good no matter what you do to it. And I think that's totally right. And often you hear stuff that's produced badly. The first things I ever recorded was with a band, and you hear everybody. We worked on them together, so it made more sense. But it would have been nice to have somebody there going, or maybe working with us up to that point, going, this is actually how this is going to sound better, rather than you guys just burn through these songs. I don't know. I mean, it was an honest portrait of what we could do, but it doesn't hold up.
Okay. Well, that's funny. I mean, every now and then get a few dudes in a room together, have them play. Every now and then, or maybe often, but I think sometimes that gets some fantastic results.
Yeah.
Some people, they get their big break comes from something like that was done so casually, you think, right? And then they spend the rest of their career doing all this overproduced stuff,
trying to chase it.
I don't know if I don't know what they're chasing, but it seems like they lose track completely of the feel that existed in their early work, right? Sometimes. Yeah. So I've seen that, but no matter, I never make plans about what's going to happen in the studio whatsoever. I always approach songwriting as if I'm going to have to play these songs by myself. But I still do. I'll get into the studio and go, well, I'll sing this full voice hoping that I never have to sing it live. I still do that, even though the writing of the song is something. The writing of a thing is I'm writing it as if I'll play it by myself for the rest of my life. But studio performances, I do not approach that way. I approach the studio like the studio is the studio, and then live is some other thing.
Yeah.
They're different environments, you know?
Completely.
I hate it when I'm at a show and somebody talks about some performer I love and they say, this guy's really just a live guy. Like his records are just kind of... What? How can you say that? They're just two completely different environments. How are we holding a gun to somebody's head and saying that it's not fair to us, the audience, if his album is not the same level of captivating as the live performance? But, you know, I like to get offended for other people sometimes about stuff like that.
Well, that's a conversation for the ages of, and being in a room with someone, and sometimes someone's having a bad night, you love their record, and they're having a bad night, and you can come away being like, that person sucks live, and never go see them again,
yeah,
right?
That could happen. I had a fever for 4 of these shows that I just opened for David on the West Coast, like the first 4 shows, I had a fever. Nobody knows.
Right.
If you don't tell them,
right,
they don't know.
Yeah. Keep them in the dark.
Yeah. Don't tell. That's one thing. Nobody should ask me for advice, because like I was saying, the best things that have ever happened to me musically are things that just happened to me. They weren't things that I knew how to seek out.
Well, so is Slightly Foreign the first record you ever, like the first document of you playing?
It's the first real thing.
Is it? But had you been in bands before that?
Yeah, I was in iterations of bands in high school. I went to an all-Christian high school in South America.
Okay. How do you get from South Africa to South America?
East Africa. Tanzania.
East Africa.
East Africa.
Okay.
So, yeah, if you take...
My geography is not great, obviously.
But if you have Africa here, and, you know,
this would be great for our listeners.
There's this... Sorry.
No.
But, so if you have that big Africa-looking thing...
Keep going. I'm learning.
Well, that you take the middle and say the Congo is in the middle. Okay. And then everything off to the side, everything off to the right, they call East Africa. Okay. Or I call East Africa. So a lot of people do. Not everybody does, but that means Tanzania, Uganda, and Kenya.
And you were there, you said their ages 2 to
10.
Okay. What year are you born?
I was born in 85.
Okay. So 95. 10 years old, so you guys go to South America?
We moved to South Louisiana.
Okay. Wow.
This is why people just stop introducing
No,
me
this is fascinating.
Because they know I could talk for half an hour about this stuff. But
is this another missionary? What are you doing?
My parents moved to South Louisiana to get their doctorates in psychology. They were already missionaries, full-time career missionaries, wandering all over East Africa, building churches and stuff like that, which my sister and I did not participate in. We went to school.
You're just kids.
Yeah, we lived like kids. I was not I was not as a child some kind of active missionary or anything. I've heard stories where kids are a lot more participatory in their parents' missionary work, but that wasn't the case for me.
Good on your parents for not, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's cool. Like, this is our deal. You're just a kid. You're along for the ride.
I mean, I guess you could have even more weird adventures if your parents just included you in all that stuff, but also then your mind becomes a bad religious adventure, and mine was going to become that anyway. Yeah.
So how long were you in Louisiana before?
For 3 years. We were in Mandeville, Louisiana, which is right across the lake from New Orleans.
Fantastic.
We were in Mandeville, Louisiana for 3 years, all public school. But
I love Louisiana. specifically that area.
That's one of my favorite parts of, because it actually got even wilder when like I stepped off the plane in New Orleans and was hit with, so the part of East Africa I was in, it's between 60 and 80 degrees year round with no humidity. In most of Tanzania and Kenya, it's actually not hot most of the year. It's hot like a few days a year, but most of the time it was between 60 and 80 with no humidity, because the parts of East Africa we tended to live in were pretty high elevation.
Uh-huh.
Well, like for a lot of my childhood, I could just see Mount Kilimanjaro or Mount Kenya or, things like that. I got lost in a tea field once. Because literally for 50 or 100 miles in every direction, you're just in tea fields, and it's all you can see is tea. Yeah. So I went to this.
Easy to get lost.
Yeah, I went to this kid's birthday party, this Italian kid, his birthday party in Kenya, and we all went running through the fields, and I got lost.
How long?
I was lost for like 7-8 hours.
Oh my God!
In the middle of the day, this Kenyan man found me, and he took me to the only white guy he knew, and that white guy, when that
it's like, white kid.
Yeah,
I know what to do with this.
I think this guy was Dutch or something. So he goes, "Your parents are missionaries?" I said, "Yeah." I said they're Southern Baptist, and he and his daughter were like, "We don't know what that is," but
lucky.
But they knew there was a place called Brackenhurst where all the missionaries convened once a year. So he took me there, and my mom literally showed up there, and she was on her way there to gather a search party for me. So Africa's nuts. But South Louisiana, we were there for 3 years and
get hit with some humidity off the plane.
Yeah, stepped off the plane. It was like 105 degrees with a 99% humidity.
Yeah.
I had never felt anything like that in Africa, so that was nuts. My mom had never had to prepare me for cold weather either in Africa.
Yeah.
So when I went to school, I got on, also I hadn't really experienced school bus life much in Africa. So now we got school bus life in Louisiana, and that's a train wreck of its own. All these wild South Louisiana kids on school buses together. That was nuts.
Yeah.
That was where I learned to cuss, and I feel like South Louisiana kids are real big on teaching each other to objectify women and stuff. So those
important.
Those were my first experiences with that kind of language.
Yeah.
Because I had been 100% sheltered and not exposed to anything like that. And then at 10 years old, on my first few school bus experiences, I was just hearing all this stuff. And I was hearing hip-hop for the first time. So that was all like a giant culture shock thing.
We haven't talked a ton about music. Like what music are you exposed to in Africa?
I mean, music was not non-existent, but I was kind of just exposed to what my parents listened to, or I was exposed to this really, really simple, incredibly simple kind of East African, Kenyan and Tanzanian music is incredibly simple harmonically. In fact,
kind of one chord.
Yeah, I mean almost. It's usually 2-chord stuff.
Cool.
And with, but with heavy emphasis on rhythm.
Yeah, of course.
And going back to Tanzania and Kenya in my adulthood, I've noticed some really cool things about bass players in Tanzania and Kenya. Like you get to the chorus, and Kenyan bass players will play the melody of the song, with the vocalist.
Oh, awesome!
And I don't hear that really in any other music. But chorus kicks in, and the bass player is playing the melody,
interesting,
note for note.
What did your parents like?
My mom, she has a kind of an operatic style singing voice. She toured in a choir in college and after college professionally.
Classical music?
Vocally she has a lot of training in classical music, but she was in a gospel choir that toured. she has some training on piano, but she feels now like her teachers were awful and just treated her really badly.
I
And
think
that's
everybody feels that way about their piano teachers,
yeah,
pretty much.
but yeah, the stuff we were listening to really early, like gospel music or hymns, or church music.
Did they like or allow like secular music?
So we had secular music around. The secular music that my parents, I remember hearing really early in life. Actually, stuff like Katie Lang, Nitty Gritty Dirt Band, because my dad's family is all Texan. My mom was a military brat, and my grandmother was a full-blooded Japanese woman.
We'll get back to her, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's
coming about the new record.
That's coming up. But
so okay, so your dad likes kind of
but my mom was always playing. Like the Bodyguard soundtrack was a really big deal for me when I was like 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. Man, and I'm still pulling stuff out I'll find little melodies that I put in my songs. And when I hear them, I instantly hear Whitney Houston doing them because she sings that interval or she sings that note-to-note change somewhere in the Bodyguard soundtrack. So I still feel like Whitney Houston is a really important thing to me.
Yeah.
And y'all were talking about Gillian Welch the other day. I have some weird things with that too.
How weird?
That I think the first person to expose me to kind of the minor nine sound, I think anytime Gillian on the album Hell Among the Yearlings.
You mentioned that one the other day.
Yeah, it was really important for me, and I kind of haven't gotten past it. I won't listen to anything else that they do because that album just means so much to me. I don't want to know that anything else they've done exists, which is a bad opinion to have, but it's just where
I knew another folk singer-songwriter who held the same.
Yeah,
and I was like, no, I think they keep growing and I think they keep moving ahead. And he was like,
I know
she nailed it there.
I know
and that's it.
I know they do.
I know, yeah.
I just don't want to know. But there was a thing on that album that was so cool where anytime she would go G to E minor, David would play an open G string with the F sharp on the D string, just ringing into each other as she would make those changes, and it emphasized it in such a haunting, sad, just kind of haunting with two helpings of anguish in there. And I find myself shoving that into a lot of songs, the minor nines, that particular minor nine sound.
Cool.
Yeah.
Love it. And so, and like do you think that's prevalent on that record and that's something or do they always do that?
I don't know if they kept doing it because I haven't listened to anything else.
Give it a try.
But yeah, that Hell Among the Yearlings was just like this perfect moment in my life.
So, like, aside from parents' music, gospel music, the music, like what's like your big bang of music where you heard something and were like, I want to do that. Do you have like a moment of that? Does that happen in Louisiana?
Which I'll never do anything like that. But hearing, do you know the album Q's Juke Joint?
I don't know Q's Juke Joint.
It's this Quincy Jones album where he just got all his favorite singers and in some case hip hop artists, and he just put them on one giant record. So you have Phil Collins singing Do Nothing Till You Hear It From Me, kind of a jazzy number.
Yeah.
And you have Queen Latifah singing stuff, and I think Babyface is on it. Probably R. Kelly.
Was this in Louisiana?
Yeah, my dad bought that CD in Louisiana, and we listened to it a lot. No, I still wasn't like I still wasn't saying I want to do music yet.
Well,
that comes later, but that was kind of a light bulb. This is music. Yeah. This is so neat. I had some of those moments with the Katie Lang stuff, but also when I was a 7-year-old kid, when I saw the tape of Katie Lang, and it's got her face on it. I also thought she kind of looked like Sylvester Stallone. So that was that was kind of funny.
That's not where I thought you were going with that.
No, but now in my adult life, that Katie Lang, I can't remember what it was, but it's just her face against a gray cover.
Yeah.
Kind of a headshot.
Is she black and white too?
Yeah.
Ryan and I have this thing about 80s like noir album covers. We have like kind of an ongoing collection. I have like a note in my phone because we're record diggers.
Well, that Katie Lang one is
okay.
Really
Well, I'm adding
cool.
it to the list today because
that's a cool one.
There's a bunch of them, and it's like everybody's got one kind of. Especially we found, especially if you were successful in the previous decades, 60s or 70s, and you wanted to like do your this is my big 80s record, like Steve Winwood, there's a Paul Simon one, there's a Billy Joel one, but like all of them with this very stark noir. Robbie Robertson has one. Like if you were making your 80s coming out, like I'm stepping in.
Springsteen has one.
Yes, absolutely.
What's that album?
Tunnel of Love.
Yeah, good job.
Yeah. It's on the list. I got an active list going, and I'm gonna add KD Lang to it.
And Tunnel Road is sick, by the way.
Oh, totally, unbelievable. Coming off of Born in the USA. Yeah, I mean the 80s are wild for him. We're going touch and go. It feels like. Okay, so Louisiana to South America, more missionary work.
Yeah, so they got their doctorates in psychology, and then Claire and I, my sister, we had hoped that we were going to go back to Africa. 'Cause,
that's home.
Yeah, to that point, we thought that was home. But this missionary that ran all the missionary dealings in South America saw a real need for marriage counseling in South America.
I know two psychologists who or were they psychiatrists or psychologists?
Psychologists.
Okay.
Because psychiatrists
Licensed.
prescribe medication.
Right.
My parents try and help you through things.
Okay.
Without medication.
Okay.
But
talk you through it. And that's very much in line with the like Southern Baptist and like you don't need that. We can work this out.
Yeah.
So what's it like there?
All that while they had a son who was on Ritalin until he was 19 years old. So
yeah, well,
maybe not that long, but well into high school I was on Ritalin. But
you needed that. Those other people did not need drugs, right?
Yeah.
It's a weird one. Well, okay, so is that
Yeah, so that was gonna happen. We thought we were gonna go back to Africa, and then.
And that was their plan too, maybe?
Yeah, but then 6 months before we were going to go back to Africa, we changed plans, and I think that was when they decided we were going to go to South America, and they were going to become regional marriage and family therapists for a whole region of missionaries in South America.
Yeah.
So we moved to Ecuador, but my parents flew around all the time so they could provide therapy for people in Chile, Argentina, Bolivia, Peru.
Do you guys have to fly around with them?
No. When they were doing that, they would usually have us stay with another missionary family.
Okay.
In Ecuador, and we went to a missionary high school, or we went to a missionary kids school that had Ecuadorian children also going there. But it was this thing where if you wanted your child to have a Christian upbringing, then you might put them in this school, even if you were a diplomat.
Okay.
There was a lot of that at that school. There were mostly kind of Ecuadorian children from wealthy families intermingling with with all these missionary kids. That made for some funny stuff too.
I'm sure. How long are you guys there? What's like you're 13? I mean, to me, when I was 13, I was like, I had to move with my family just from McKinney to Dallas, and I was pissed off. So are you like, when you think you're going to go home to Africa and you end up in a different continent? Is that
Yeah, I kind of hated it right off the bat.
this is late 90s?
Yeah, now we're talking. We're looking at 97, 98.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was super rough, and because I had been indoctrinated into this wild South Louisiana kid way of behaving.
Right.
So I was super rebellious. I cussed a lot. I talked like rappers talked.
Sure.
And I was
in your culture, like the culture you were in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of in
Totally understand.
South Louisiana, you got mostly white kids. I mean, you got all these white kids talking like hip hop stars with a Cajun accent underneath their South Louisiana accent. It's wild.
I have some friends from there. I wanted to move to New Orleans at one point. Like I'm completely in love with the culture there, and I cannot imagine.
It's a beautiful, weird.
Yeah.
But going to Louisiana from all this sheltering missionary kid life in Africa, and then trying to go back to being a sheltered missionary kid in Ecuador, it was a wreck, and I hated it, and I felt so out of place for the first couple years, and then I kind of fell into, okay, I'll try and behave less like a South Louisiana kid, and then
does music enter the picture here?
Music, I started playing guitar on my 14th birthday.
Okay. That's when you got a guitar?
That's when we dug my mom's guitar that she had a classical guitar that she had played some in college. It had 3 strings on it when we dug it out of storage. But I had gone to stay with a friend when my parents were doing one of these go counsel people in Peru or Chile or something.
Mm-hmm.
I had stayed with this friend. He was a couple years older than me, and he'd been playing guitar for about a year.
Yeah.
He was trying to learn Lagrange by ZZ Top. And one of the moments when I thought, I know my mom has a guitar. I want to play guitar, was when he was trying to learn Lagrange, and he kept stopping the CD because he was having trouble learning that first solo. When the first real solo kicks in.
Oh man, we're learning the solo to Lagrange, not okay.
Yeah,
man.
He's been playing for less than a year at that point, and he's trying to learn this Lagrange solo by ear, and he keeps stopping it. And one time he stopped it, and he goes, "Damn, these guys are good."
Yeah.
And then that was another light bulb moment,
right?
And I want to play guitar now. And I was just sitting in a room with this kid while he was trying to figure out Lagrange.
When you see someone do it, it's like the magician doing a trick and then showing you how it's done, and you get that moment because my dad played guitar, and there was music around everywhere at my house. My parents loved music, pop music. They like cool stuff. But I remember hearing loud guitar one day coming out of, my dad's bedroom, being like, "What's that?" And my mom goes, "I think that's Purple Haze." And I was like, I didn't know what Purple Haze was.
Right.
And I was like, and I went and like looked and like saw him with his guitar, and I was like, "Oh, Dad's playing guitar." But like, that's why I was like, "What's Purple Haze?" She was like, "It's a song, Jimi Hendrix." And I was like, "Okay." But I didn't, it was just funny because I was like, "What is that?" I think she took for granted the idea that I was like, "What is that noise?"
Mm-hmm.
And just like poked my head in and was like, "Oh, Dad's playing guitar." That's still don't know what this Purple Haze thing is, but it took, I think when you see someone doing it, and then I think a little while after that, I'm still like a real little kid when people were like, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And I think I had heard someone say that you could be a musician, and I was like, "Oh wait, that's a job."
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, "Yeah," and I was like, "I'll do that."
And this kid, before I knew he kind of played guitar, and before I saw him trying to learn Lagrange and struggling with it, he already fit my ideal of somebody I wanted to be like, because he was he and his brothers were missionary kids from Mexico City, so they were super rebellious.
They were wild too.
Yeah. So they fit. I could be my South Louisiana version of myself with them, but I had to be this clean version of myself with all the other missionary kids in school.
Yeah. That makes total sense. So then you're like, oh, and he plays guitar.
And he plays guitar.
I see it, and like, so you're like, we're gonna dig this guitar. My mom has a guitar.
Mm-hmm.
I have a guitar.
So we only got strings on it. It took a few days to get strings on it. So I started playing it on my 14th birthday.
What'd you play?
I think
Did you already remember some of LaGrange?
No. Man, I wish. I think I did kind of learn the first the three notes that are required to play it pretty easily, but then, well, I can't play anything else that happens on this song, so I'm just done here. But my dad knew a three-finger finger picking thing that he had learned in college. My dad had played banjo and a tiny bit of guitar when he was in college, but they had never played guitar around the house. My mom had played a ton of piano around the house, and she sang in this operatic way, but she sang gospel songs.
Mm-hmm.
She was trained like one of those middle to high soprano people, so she's always in that register. I think that's why I like using my falsetto so much, because to me, that's where she sang all the time.
How cool is it to be taught finger picking?
That was the first thing I learned.
That's so cool.
Yeah, that's the very first.
By a banjo player.
By a guy that had more experience on banjo, yeah. So my dad taught me this three-finger. Now, I'm generally a four-finger guy now.
Uh-huh. But a roll?
Yeah, but he taught me this three-finger thing that was just used over and over to play this little series of chords. That now it's I still think of it as one of the more advanced little, where you're just playing kind of little snippets of chords with this finger picking pattern. And
is there a little melodic thing in it? I love those.
Mm-hmm.
Those work on me every fucking time.
Yeah, dude, it feels melodic, so it's very satisfying to play by yourself. And I think that's always been the thing for me.
Yeah. This makes so much sense.
How can I do this in a way where I don't have to depend on other people? Because I don't really have leadership skills, and you might have noticed this, that while we're standing there the other night, I've gotten comfortable with just kind of saying weird stuff as a way of just keeping myself comfortable in the moment. So we're all standing there not saying anything, and I'm saying things like, oh, those sad days when we used to read more. And I'm just finding something to say to keep myself comfortable. I don't really believe in anything I'm saying necessarily when I say that.
Just entertaining yourself?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Because I still feel like I'm by myself even when I'm with
I have a sense
people.
Of that. I mean, for myself even. Right. I mean, I feel that about, I can see that in you. And I feel like a lot of performers are this way. And I think I like joke with people that it might be kind of a character defect or something, because I really like chatting one-on-one with people. That's why I want to do this. I want to, I like you, and I don't want to know more about you. But if we're in a crowded space, I get uncomfortable, and that's normal. But what's not normal is if someone was like, hey, okay, you seem uncomfortable. There's a stage over there. Would you want to maybe go up on there and draw everyone's attention to you? I'd be like, yeah, that sounds good. That seems like completely insane to put it that way, right?
All right.
That you'd be more uncomfortable just standing up in front of everyone and being like,
this is now a thing that I say on every podcast I've been on. I talk about how I don't really love going to shows on a regular basis because I hate being in crowds of people, but I love being on stage.
Right.
Yeah, those seem to not go together, but almost everybody that does music somewhat professionally, almost everybody feels that way.
Right. Yeah. And I wish I knew exactly where it came from, but I meet so many different people from so many different backgrounds. Yours sounds very different from mine, but we both arrive at the same place. You know?
And I could kind of sense that as soon as we were standing around in a circle together, I feel like Grady and I are feeling the same feeling right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was kind of performing.
Yeah.
You know, like I gave Ryan that record and I was like, I had a story.
No, you had a thing to do.
Yeah. It was like, I've got a little routine
and that's what,
to do.
That's what the Hell Among the Yearlings comment became for me. It gave me something to contribute to this kind of awkward feeling I was having.
Here's my way in here, right?
It's like, oh, you know, when you had to read it to know David Rawlings played on it. Oh, I miss those days. You know, it just gave me something to say at all.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I was just going to stand there and stare at everybody until somebody else said something. But also Ryan and Rosie are so sweet and it just,
it's a good little group.
Yeah, it did my heart so much. It did a lot of good to see them after a long time. It's weird to have these people that you've never, say Ryan and I don't know that we ever even had each other's phone numbers back when we played gigs together. We only communicated through Facebook Messenger. I would just go, hey, you want to song swap with me on this night? And he would say available and willing.
Nice. Yes.
Yeah.
Very good. So, what'd you think of the show the other night?
Loved it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Good.
Because it was a slightly different take on some songs I was super familiar with.
Yeah.
And I also like, partly because of Prince and partly because of Ryan, I've developed what I call a pet lyric. A lyric that I'm going to put in a bunch of songs throughout my writing career. And I love that Ryan's is pissing in the sockets.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite things, that when a writer has a thing, like Prince, She's Always in My Hair. It's a song title, but it's also in several more of his songs. Right. And I love that. So
I do too.
I've decided that my pet line, like having a pet lick that you play in every improvisation that you play on guitar. Mm-hmm. My pet line is going to be, we got caught dancing.
Nice. Ryan's got kind of pet melodies too, that he likes to reuse. And I
don't know if I like to reuse mine, but I sure have to.
yeah, I think they're just there.
It's like I have my sense of melody, and that's kind of what it is. No matter how complicated my chord progressions get, which they get hairy. But
I don't know, and I don't know if he just recognized that he had put it in a few places and decided, oh well, I might as well lean into it, or if he intentionally placed it, the melody thing. Mm-hmm. I think the lyric is obviously very intentional.
Yeah.
Even though I don't know what it means. I mean, I have a theory, but I enjoyed the show too. It was
fun.
We had a rehearsal before, and I had a way easier time at the rehearsal.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And that's like sometimes why I don't like rehearsing is like the magic got, like, I did my best performance at the rehearsal, and then the show I just struggled in a few little spots, and my mind goes to those I can't see the whole show anymore. I just see the moments where I struggle.
Okay. But is some of that because of also, seems like all rehearsal spaces and rehearsals are done in such a way where everybody's facing each other?
Yeah.
And then you get on stage and nobody's facing each other. And I kind of hate that.
I do too. I wish we'd rehearse facing away.
Don't look at me.
Yeah. Well, I just think
we'll perform better if I don't have to, if I don't get on stage and suddenly go, oh, I can't see him anymore. What am I doing?
Yeah.
Because that's a thing that seems to happen.
Yeah. I agree. I've been to some like professional spaces where you face a mirror.
Ooh.
And that's kind of cool. And I'd be like looking at people kind of like I would at a show, but I'm looking at their hands for like a cue. And then I'd notice like they're like looking and like kind of, does this look good? You know, like this pose with the guitar, or, you know, and that's interesting too, to think about. Oh, you could be focusing on how you look playing your instrument.
Right.
but I never think about that.
Oh,
I just try and look pissed off.
So I technically was in a commercial music program for 2 years in college at a community college, but I knew, and one of the things that really bothered me, that there were all these people in the music program that were literally starting to learn their instrument.
Yeah.
The day they got to this music program, it's like, it was so clear that this really cute, now woman, but at the time girl bass player, what's going on here? And then I was friends with her roommate, and I walk in, she's got her bass on that she barely knows anything on to play yet. And she's in the mirror deciding if she looks good or not with the bass and how to better to position this electric bass.
Mm-hmm. She obviously looked great.
She probably looked great. But I just, those moments are also crazy moments in my head, because there's never been a point. I do care about how I present myself, but there's never been a point where I cared more about how I present myself physically than how the song is played.
Sure.
And so to get into to start a music program and have it be that one of the first things I notice is that all these kids are in here with zero experience playing their instrument. And maybe that's why they're at a community college like me. I'm at a community college because of money issues, but they're at this community college because they're literally trying to start playing bass.
Is this in Dallas?
No, this was, I studied music at a place called South Plains College.
Oh, you went to South Plains?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Actually, I never met Charlie Shafter there, but he was using the practice spaces when I was in the music program there, and
with his band.
And yeah,
Markham.
and Daniel Markham was there, but
Yeah.
we never spoke.
Okay. That's so cool, man.
I walked by Daniel Markham one time, and he was complaining to his bass player about all these kids there that knew nothing about achieving a good guitar tone. And so I immediately thought, well, I guess I won't be speaking to that guy.
To me, it sounds like you and him are kind of complaining about the same thing.
Yeah, a little bit.
But you're like, that guy's scary.
Yeah.
Well, so you had musical training in between your 14th birthday and going to South Plains.
Yeah, but until I got to college, every single thing I learned on guitar from when I started playing at 14 until 19, when I got back to the States,
mm-hmm.
was either by ear or from guitar magazines.
Okay. Your friend with the guy from Mexico City, did he show you any stuff?
Not really. We
Okay.
didn't get to spend very much time together because he was older than me.
Yeah.
So when we were at school, we weren't in the same circles. He would be nice to me at school, but then around his friends, he would come and pretend to beat me up and stuff like that.
He sounds cool.
So he was awesome. Yeah. He's still a version of an idol in my head. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that sounds like typical male high school shit, you know?
Uh-huh.
So did you form any bands? Like,
Well, so I had this best friend named Wesley Taylor, and he was super interesting because his mom was Ecuadorian and spoke no English, and his dad was white from Alabama and spoke no Spanish.
That's beautiful.
And but they didn't live together. His dad was just sending back money to Ecuador from the States, or he was working in oil fields in Ecuador and spending no time at home. So Wesley was being parented by a single mom, even though his dad sometimes lived in the country and sometimes didn't. But he was my best friend for 8th and 9th grade.
Did he play?
And he played
Guitar?
And he turned me on. Yeah, he played guitar, and he turned me on to the stuff that kind of informed probably why emotionally I still approach music. I tend to approach music from a damaged male perspective, and it's because the stuff he was showing me was like songs with titles like "I Died for You" by the band Iced Earth.
Okay. Not familiar.
Okay, so they're kind of a kitschy, cheesy metal band.
Okay.
But he was showing me stuff like that. But he was also why I got into Metallica really early.
Yeah.
But I was, one of those annoying kids I was always playing Metallica, but it was always on acoustic.
Uh-huh.
But that's still kind of my life. I'm still trying to kind of achieve this feeling of playing metal, but on acoustic. There's a heavier song on this new album it feels heavy compared to the rest of the material, but we really fought my urge to make it just crunch city guitar tone wise.
Yeah.
It's called Rosemary and Thieves. And
Yeah.
It's really kind of my favorite thing on the record.
I liked it.
But thanks. I'm still kind of trying to achieve this do acoustic, but also have free reign to get real crunchy guitar tone wise if I want to. And I don't know how receptive to say, 500 to 2,000 people that know who I am I don't know how receptive they'll be. But I also kind of feel like when only 2,000 people know who you are on a good day, you can probably kind of do whatever you want.
You could reinvent yourself tomorrow if you want. Or today.
And,
There's still plenty of time.
I only have 2,000 people to lose.
Some of them might go with you. Have you ever been an electric player?
Yeah. So when Wesley and I would play together and we would play Metallica songs together, we would both play electric. He was way better at the solo stuff, but I was trying, and I really wanted to get to full on lead guitar levels. And so when Wesley had to move back to the States, he moved back with his dad to Alabama, and I think his dad quit working in the oil business in Ecuador.
Metallica's kind of a good model for two guitar because
it kind of
because James is kind of an excellent guitar player in his own right. And like you can't be the rhythm player of Metallica and think that you're just going to get away with like playing very simple chords and chugging away. There's plenty of that in there, but you have to be able to play riffs and the way they like.
That's also part of why it was shocking when I moved to the States to see people playing rhythm guitar and to realize that there's this version of rhythm guitar where you basically do nothing.
Yeah.
And that was shocking to me because in South America, even their version of rhythm guitar is a very impressive right hand playing these bossa nova chords.
Right.
And, so even that was, I saw this norm there. And then I got to the States and I saw like a country rhythm player for the first time.
Yeah.
But, oh, there's something very wrong here. But I don't know. But, things inform your view, and it's hard to get rid of them.
So you're back in the States at 19, and is that straight to South Plains?
No, I spent a year living in this guest house with my folks in Kaufman, Texas, trying to get a job, and it went really badly. I did have some jobs.
What kind?
Ditch digging.
Yeah. It's kind of work you can get out in Kaufman, I guess.
Yeah.
As a 19-year-old.
As a 19-year-old with no job experience. I kind of went through the same stuff that the Jesse Eisenberg character goes through in the movie where he works at a not a fair. What do you call those things? A carnival. Yeah. And he's trying to get a job, and he hangs up the phone and goes, "I'm not even qualified for manual labor."
Yeah.
So I was kind of finding that with no job experience, because legally I couldn't have any jobs in Ecuador. You had to be a citizen to have any kind of job, and I wasn't a citizen. And for some reason, it wasn't worth it to apply for citizenship. Now I kind of wish we had, so I'd gotten to the States with some kind of experience, anything. But yeah, it was really hard to get any kind of job. So I spent that year kind of doing jobs sometimes and mostly not, and playing guitar for 8 hours a day. And even in high school, before that actually, in high school, in my last couple years at Alliance Academy in Ecuador, South America, I had these study hall teachers who had gotten used to that I would just never do homework, and they would just let me play guitar for the entire study hall.
Like performing for the kids, or
no,
just off
practicing.
by yourself?
I would be sitting in the study hall playing guitar while everybody else did
Everyone
work.
else did their work.
And
that's great.
And so I was, in my last couple years of high school, I was getting 6-7 hours a day playing guitar because these study hall teachers just didn't care what I did.
That's so badass.
And that was pretty neat, but it hasn't paid off yet. I don't have a career at this yet. But,
you're an excellent guitar player.
Thanks.
That's all that,
It paid off that way.
Yeah.
But,
well, and like, when do you start writing? Did you and Wesley write songs?
No, and anytime I wrote something, he didn't want to play it because it wasn't badass enough for him.
Sure.
It wasn't tough enough for him.
Everyone has that friend.
Yeah, nothing that I could write was tough enough for him. So that, like tough, I mean manly tough. Not that it needed to be hard to play, but just I don't know.
Okay.
He was a giant.
So he did not discourage, or he did not encourage that part of your.
Yeah. When he left, I made this other guy, this kid named David Talley. I made him my best friend when he stepped off this staircase onto this sidewalk that faced our high school weightlifting room, and I was in the weightlifting room again with my guitar, not doing any weightlifting, but I was hanging out with my friends in the weightlifting room, and I was practicing guitar. And this kid David Talley, he steps off the staircase and yells from the staircase. He's got a classical guitar in no case. He's like, Garrett, you gotta teach me something. And in that moment, I made him my best friend for the rest of our high school careers. He was a year younger than me, so for us to be tied together was difficult. But we had all these study halls together, so then it became a tandem thing. We were in study hall together, always playing guitar together in study halls. And then we were these two guys that were trying to play guitar for 8 hours a day while we were still in high school.
Are you writing?
No.
Are you you're going to learn my songs now?
So he wrote.
Okay.
And that gave me a thing to play lead over. So for our whole high school career together, he wrote and played rhythm, and we would learn Aerosmith songs, and The Last Child. We actually got away with playing The Last Child as an instrumental at our high school prom, and instrumentally. But it has that badass solo in it by Whitford, and so I got to play all that cool stuff while David was playing all the cool riffage. But so we kind of had that rhythm versus lead guitar player, and we kind of impressed some of our high school friends endlessly with that kind of stuff.
How do you get into writing? Or when?
I really every now and then I would try to sing, and my friend Aaron McGee would go, "You should sing more." but he was kind of the one. And so I was in the commercial music program at South Plains, but I was in the jazz program, and it was only their third or fourth year of even having a jazz program. So as far as lead guitar goes, I kind of thought jazz would be the ultimate, and if I could get to truly improvising in complete sentences on the instrument, then I would be in this golden place.
Yep.
When I realized just how many years it was going to take me to get there, and also my first day at school was pretty awful. I do my first private lesson, and when the guy realized that I didn't know how to read music yet, he had this stack of papers, and he goes, "So damn it, I'm gonna have to teach you how to read too." So
yes, sir. Yeah.
So that was, I don't take that stuff lightly. So
Pretty
I don't
damaging.
know.
First
Yeah.
day. Yeah.
But I stayed in the jazz program and I was in jazz ensemble and I did all the stuff. I had
You learn to read?
I
Did he
did
teach you?
eventually learn to read music. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I would
Not from him?
mostly by his wife. His wife was actually the head. His wife has a doctorate in guitar studies.
Okay.
His wife had been teaching guitar since she was 5. Her dad was the senior editor at Mel Bay Guitar Books.
Oh, wow.
And so he got her started on some really simple things when she was 4. And then he had her teach those really simple things to a 70-year-old woman that wanted guitar lessons in their neighborhood. So he had his 5-year-old daughter teaching guitar lessons to like a super old lady.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I ended up switching private lessons. Brent, I don't know if he just got tired of me or something, but eventually it ended up that I was doing all my private lessons with Emily, head of guitar studies at South Plains at the time. She had a doctorate in guitar studies, so I mostly learned to read from her, and by just by trying by myself, doing the thing where you write all the notes out along the staff, and then you write kind of as far as you can go above where the staff ends, you know. But I'm not good at it now. When I look back at the stuff I used to read, I can't believe that I ever read it. When that I could kind of sight read Spain,
Yeah.
stuff like that I could, and that I was in sight reading classes. I was in a sight reading ensemble in my last 2 years. Or no, I mean in my
How the hell does that work?
that they put this
Throw a piece of music in front of the whole class. Everybody goes for it. Only in school.
Yeah.
You know.
So I was in a sight reading ensemble, and I can't believe that I got through it, because that kind of stuff is hard for me. Everything academic is hard for me, because also I don't want to linger on this too long, because there's kind of this attitude like, well, you're grown up now, you should just get over that shit. But I was neuropsychologically analyzed by this group of doctors in the U.S. when I was really young. And in the documentation, I have the documentation. I keep it in my room for some reason. It says Garrett is more opposed to learning than any other child we have seen. But so I was in kindergarten. It was becoming clear that I just learned differently than other kids. So then my parents brought me to the States to have me kind of tested. And the documentation is just really mean. There's even a thing in there.
This is how you end up on Ritalin?
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's even a thing in there. People need to understand that part of Garrett is in a wheelchair. You just can't see it. So I had all this baggage, feeling so much less than other people from really early in my life, where I was getting pulled out of school. That's actually why we moved to Nairobi, Kenya, is that there was a learning disability specialist.
Mm-hmm.
There were 2 in Africa. One was in South Africa and one was in East Africa. And read a brand and kind of saved my life. So I was getting pulled out of school at the International School of Kenya for 2 hours every day to learn how to read. And then I was getting pulled out also to get math specific therapy too. So I hate numbers. So I've never thought of music as a numerical thing. It all resonates with me as shapes.
Mm-hmm. Shapes
and colors.
Sure.
Shapes and emotions. And what am I trying to achieve here? So anytime something gets academic, it's usually pretty clear that I'm going to have a bunch of problems, and college was no different.
Did you think after your year of ditch digging or whatever, trying to do that, you go, okay, well, I like music, so I'm going to try that, and that's why you go to South Plains?
Mm-hmm.
And then you get there and you go, you know, like this is just like digging a ditch, or like I found another spot where someone throws the papers across and goes, you can't even do this. Like, is it?
No, yeah, it was kind of, but I was so fired up. It almost didn't matter what Brent said to me. I was so fired up about trying.
Yeah.
Which I get really fired up and I get really adversarial, and that's kind of when I do my best work, is when somebody says you can't do something and I prove that actually I can. I just have to do it in some way that you would never think of.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what my entire approach to songwriting is based on, that kind of attitude.
Yeah. I think a lot of really great songwriters think of it that way. I mean, did you read Bob Dylan Chronicles?
I never finished it, but I did start it. Yeah.
Like he has some spot in that when he's like, I went to watch some bluegrass band, you know, one of those guys, I could think of their name if we weren't on microphone right now, but like Lost City Ramblers or something, you know. And he was like, and I went and saw those guys and I watched this guy playing the fiddle and going, I could never play like that.
Yeah.
I can never do that. And I like went to, you know, and he's like talking about walking by famous writers' houses and stuff and being like, okay, if I'm not going to be able to play like this guy, then I'm going to write better than anybody. Almost as like, this is how I'm going to stand out. Mm-hmm. And I mean, whatever, 60 years later, if you want to talk about like who's at the top of the mountain.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, I think that it comes out of frustration though. Mm-hmm. No one just goes, I'm just going to be the best or something. You got to be like pushed to that moment, that realization of like, well, this is what I'm doing. So when you say, I don't like academics, and then I went to study music, the thing I love the most, to study it in school is like, well, it's, you know, I mean, did you graduate?
No, I quit. And then I stayed at South Plains another semester thinking I would just study English, but then that didn't even work out either. Because I've said this a lot. I mean, it's pretty clear, I think, if somebody listens to me, that music and words are my favorite thing. Mm-hmm. And you know, I had all those developmental issues where, they also said, they said I would probably never learn how to read.
Okay.
Pretty strong statement.
Yeah.
And I love reading. I read very slowly, but I love reading.
Yeah. It's just it was just a learning disability. Like it's not dyslexia or anything like that.
Well, yeah, dyslexia is a part of it. And
you are dyslexic.
And yeah, I was diagnosed with ADD.
Mm-hmm.
Thus all the Ritalin for, you know, over a decade. But they actually said, yeah, like huge, you know, markers of dyslexia, but just profoundly severe learning disabilities across the board is something else they said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you agree with them? Like as an adult now?
I wish I could talk to them and figure out what those words are supposed to mean.
Yeah. But what do you think about like your?
I think I am different. I feel very different, and I think people who have tried to teach me things, they end up having this light bulb moment. Like, oh yeah, there's something here that I didn't see. Mm-hmm. There's this problem that Garrett tends to have that I never would have guessed if I hadn't tried to teach him something.
Right.
I think that does come out, but
people get frustrated with you?
Yeah.
Do you get frustrated with yourself?
Yeah, happens all the time. But also, I think it's a personality thing. Because I know that if I wake up and I make a to-do list, I'll decide to do everything that's not on that list before I get to the list.
Sure.
I think it's just a personality thing. Even if I give myself tasks, I don't want to do them as soon as I decide that they're tasks that I should be doing.
Right.
But so it's kind of amazing that I ever write anything. But the writing is always a result of massive obsession.
Like you ruminate on something for a long time and go, that's great.
Well, and it's usually that a thought will come to me about something that I've been obsessing with for such a long period of time, and I'll go, that feels like art to me. Journaling's not art to me. I journal voraciously, and I hate it when I have really strong feelings about people that, they just take poems and they just slap them over a chord progression, or they take what I think should just be a journal entry and they call it a song.
Yeah,
that's a thing I have really strong feelings about. But lyrics to me, I think I have a lot in common with kind of the Stone Temple Pilots way of viewing lyrics. Actually, is that I care very deeply about what I'm saying, but I do not care so much if you know exactly what I'm trying to get across.
Sure. I think that's normal.
Yeah.
Or I hope it is, because you can't control it. That to try and control that is a fallacy.
Yeah. I
setting up expectations that are impossible.
So
you have kind of this pondering thing, or that's what I was getting from the songs. It's like a lot of questions or something, or like, and it's a lot of why, and that's what I was hearing to listening to it. And again, like I've seen you, it seems so, I don't know your history of, and this is part of the reason I wanted to talk to you is you seemed, when I saw you live at
I didn't know that happened.
Magnolia. Oh. At some point.
Okay.
I could probably but it just seems so like out of the box. Like you were like in a good way. Not like it felt very fully formed.
I've spent a long time becoming me. Yeah.
Good. Well, yeah. And I got the benefit of seeing it and just being like, oh, like this person, arrived here on in the middle of some journey,
Yeah, and I kind of, when you've had to spend so much time being comfortable by yourself, like I did as a child, because my sister and I were not close. You have to, even though I'm uncomfortable so much of the time, I've always been very sure of who I was not.
Yeah.
So that's why in high school I never played on the worship team, even though I was, I was one of the more focused guitar players in my entire community,
and probably real steeped in that music.
Yeah, I've been around it for a long time, but I always knew that wasn't who I was, and I have still, like discovering who you are is that ongoing thing. Like, but I've always been pretty sure who I was, and I always knew exactly who I wasn't. But I think if there's something, I think that's always had carry over into my music from recording with Chris Bell early on and all the way till now.
How do you arrive in Dallas and like start making this, where, like, how do you arrive there and end up where we are now?
So after quitting college, I moved back in with my folks, and
still in Kaufman.
Okay. And after college, I got a job at the Walmart in Forney, and I worked there until I worked in. I went from being a cart pusher to working a sporting goods counter at Walmart, and then I got told I could either go back to being a cart pusher or quit, because a guy came in one day and he conned me out of $150 over the register.
Doing the change
what
bit?
They call a change artist.
Yeah.
A guy came in and did that.
I used to work in a liquor store, and they'd be like, anytime that starts happening, close the drawer.
So I didn't
They're aware of it
They're
in the liquor
good,
store. They
man.
don't tell you about it at Walmart. I
Yeah.
guess.
So I was never schooled on that kind of thing. And yeah, that guy got me good. They showed me, and they showed me on the video camera,
Yeah,
because
that
everything
sucks.
on Walmart is on
Yeah.
Walmart is on camera. But that was rough. And then
What a way to be confronted with your mistakes.
mhm.
Here it is
So
in
after,
black and white, sir.
yeah. I mean, we don't have to talk about this part, but I feel like mentioning it because I'm in kind of a dark place these days anyway. But so a suicide attempt happened after that.
Really?
For me, yeah.
You figure if I can't hack it at Walmart,
I can't even do that.
yeah,
All those people suck.
they do. That's why they work at Walmart, man.
That was kind of a funny, but there was a suicide attempt after that, and then
You survived, obviously.
I wasn't very good at that either, but
I'm glad. I'm glad. What's
so after I was on these drugs called Abilify and Ambien for a year, still living with my folks. And a year into using antidepressants or an antidepressant and this really strong sleeping med, I woke up one day and I said to myself, I haven't had a feeling in a year.
yeah.
Like any emotion of any kind. Having always been this, this really hard, this walking open wound. I've kind of been that way my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that to people that are paying attention, I think you can hear that in my songs. I once had a woman say, your stuff's not as sad as you think it is. And I thought, you're just not paying attention. But
It's like, you don't get it at all, do
Yeah.
you, lady?
yeah, that is how I felt about that. But I woke up one morning and realized I hadn't had a feeling in a long time. And then I quit taking both those medications cold turkey. And I did my first open mic at Opening Bell Mosaic in downtown Dallas.
I remember.
I did my first open mic.
2009?
That would have been 2008 or 9.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I found this weird little community to kind of be friends with.
I think I know who you're talking about.
But the regulars at that open mic at the time were a very different version of Charlie Crockett than what exists now.
I remember him.
And Matthew Bridgman is a really good writer from back then too.
You meet Ryan then? Ryan Becker?
I met Ryan. I moved in. I became roommates with Richard May in 2009. And I think we lived together through 2011, maybe 12. Maybe we quit being roommates in 2012. But I had my first music-related girlfriend because she worked behind the counter at Opening Bell South Side.
Mm-hmm.
Her name was okay, I won't say her name, but she's talked about in lots of my material, and she even makes an appearance in Memoriam. There's a song on Memoriam called "Dead on New Year's Day," and this girl that was my girlfriend when I was 23 and 24, she killed herself on New Year's Eve of this year.
Had y'all kept up?
No.
No.
It was still really gets me though.
Yeah, it's hard to hear that. I've been through something similar, and it's a hard thing to deal with.
But I've been trying to write. I had this chorus that said, "Do you think God's up there just walking back and forth when he lays his blanket down? That's about the time my sun goes down." Because I had read this children's poem during the time I'd been taking care of my grandmother. I'd read this children's poem that poses this idea that God is this being kind of walking around on a glass ceiling, and our day and night is decided by when he lays his blanket down. And I thought that was a really beautiful image. So I don't think I say it anywhere near verbatim in the song, but the chorus in the song is kind of inspired by that idea. And I'd had these verses about a Christmas toothache because I have this weird thing. I've had so much crazy dental history from living overseas. All my dental work was done in third world countries, right? So my mouth is a wreck. So I have this seasonal toothache that anytime the humidity changes, I get this awful toothache right here. And for years it was so painful that I would just go to the dentist thinking it was a real toothache, and they would always do the x-rays and say there's nothing wrong. And so I get this thing. I just started calling it my Christmas toothache, and so that's why there's a line about I've got this Christmas toothache.
I remember that one going by.
Yeah,
evocative.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about Memoriam. That's your new record. Just came out at the beginning of this month, or was it late?
November 1st.
November 1, the very beginning. Tell me about it. Like what? How long did it take to write? Who plays on it? Why'd you record it with who you recorded it with? I can do these one at a time if you want.
Yeah, it's funny. It's just working with Taylor. It's like a Taylor Tatch. I almost don't know anything else.
Like your two previous have been made with him. Something I hate about the digital time, and something that's stuck with me about reading shit.
That you would know that.
Right. Yeah. Is like, I think if I, probably on Bandcamp, if I had gone through each record, I could have gotten a lot of, there's probably more info on each one on Bandcamp. I do
say stuff about that stuff, yeah.
But just where I normally listen on, streaming services, that stuff's not there.
Yeah.
And it's hard to find, So Taylor Tatch. Tatch?
Tatch.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's how it's spelled. You worked with him on the other two?
Yeah, and that's kind of all I know. But it's come to my attention that I've been kind of spoiled because, on my self-titled and on this, the 2020 album called Quiet Lives, he plays everything that I don't play.
Cool.
On those records. And so his way of making our records has been that, actually, on the first one, all of my parts were recorded live to tape, and then he put instruments on it after the fact.
Cool.
And then Quiet Lives, we took a different approach. Because actually, the reason we did that the first time is that I had been playing those songs live a ton by the time I recorded them with Taylor for my debut. And then, in fact, we revisited one of the tunes from my 2011 EP. Okay. Razorblade Family is on both.
Okay.
Records.
I like that. I like when people do that.
Me too.
Yeah.
I like when you pull old stuff and try and represent who you are now with that same song. Yeah.
I love that.
But then with Quiet Lives, my friend, one of my favorite and best friends, Matt Tedder, does a sick solo on this tune called Hour in the Forest. But that whole record was recorded differently, where we kind of just went straight to Pro Tools with everything. And then with all my parts, Taylor did drums and bass on stuff to achieve this kind of full band sound. And then we had some of my favorite people come in and do big solos like Tedder. Well, maybe he was the only one. But
I love him.
Yeah, so that was how we recorded my second record with Taylor, or second full length. And then but we did some more weird experimenting where he with the omnichord, and he had a children's keyboard that gets some really odd sounds, and that makes an appearance on that second record.
I like those kind of things a lot.
Me too.
Things you can't, that's like you'd never try to do that live.
Yeah.
But it's there on the record. It always makes it.
And this is my complaint with people that get mad at artists that are different live. Right. Because they're just different environments.
Yeah.
But most people will never know that. But
Yeah, it's hard to fault them, but
yeah,
but at the end of the day, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
But I'm an emotional open wound, so I'll call them assholes if I want to. So
it's your right to.
Yeah. It's like I'm not on antidepressants anymore, so I say some really mean things sometimes about people that just never have to learn what I've had to see and experience. But
sure. Well, so so this one now, what's the approach?
The approach was this kind of involves Matt Tedder. For my album release show for Quiet Lives, Matt Tedder had a band at the time called the Polydogs, and they backed me up for my release show of Quiet Lives so that we could kind of get close to making that album occur live. And Matt called in Dan Creamer of the Texas Gentlemen, and who is also the touring keyboard player for Shaky Graves.
Yeah,
so
he's sick.
So he tours about 300 days a year with Shaky Graves. But
great dude.
There was less going on at the time, so Dan was available. So he played keys at my Quiet Lives release show in 2020. And when I noticed him walk in the room to rehearsal, and that we were about to rehearse my most difficult song at that time, and he didn't need charts or anything, I thought, if this guy's anywhere near my price range, I'm going to make him play on my next record. So Taylor Tatch produced Memoriam as well, but Dan is playing all the instruments that I don't play.
Really?
Dan Creamer plays drums, bass, 7 or 8 synthesizers, keyboards.
I hate people like this. I wish I was that guy.
And during tracking for one of the songs, in between takes, he was playing some weird game on his phone in between takes.
Yeah.
He's a nut, man.
Yeah.
But
just effortless.
He's a trip. So, but, I mean, not all of my songs are as complicated as some of the most complicated jazz tunes in the world, but a percentage of them are.
Yeah.
Some of my songs are really complicated.
They got some chords in them, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Rosemary and Thieves has 14 chord changes in the verse and 12 in the chorus. Yeah. Man. And screw that neuropsychologist who said I couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
But
he's fucking wrong. What about so the cover photo. It's a photo within a photo.
Yeah.
That's your grandmother?
That's my great-grandfather.
Your great-grandfather.
Yeah, so her dad.
Okay.
He's Japanese. Grandma was Japanese.
Why that photo?
Well, I was going to the photo shoot where I was hoping we were going to get an album cover.
Uh-huh. No pressure. Lots of pressure.
And I didn't have a plan.
Yeah.
And I haven't posted most of the pictures that came from that photo shoot because I'm in them. And my face is in them. And I've gotten tired of posting my face in stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I was dying to I didn't know what was going to happen, but I opened this white box that had all my grandmother. My grandmother died on April 5th. And my last session on this
year?
On this tattoo was April 4th.
Okay.
And this is her name. Her name was Sakurada in Japanese, and it means cherry blossom field. That's why I have
see the cherry blossoms.
14 cherry blossom fields in the tattoo.
Yeah.
But cherry blossoms. There aren't fields in the tattoo. But I opened this box as I was literally walking out the door to go to the photo shoot, and I opened this box that had all these pictures that had been in Grandma's room until then. I just opened up the box and picked the first 2 pictures off the top and took them with me to the photo shoot. And I just threw it out as an idea. Can I hold up these pictures in front of my face at some point during this photo shoot, and we'll take some pictures? And that's not a thing you plan on, really, but I like that it's not my face.
Mm-hmm. Well, in a way, it is.
It's
a couple generations removed.
Yeah, but I do. I have some other photos that make it much clearer that I have my great grandfather's cheekbones. Exactly.
I didn't think about it until just now, but you know the Guy Clark record, My Favorite Picture of You?
Yeah, is he holding up a picture?
Yeah, in front of his face.
Oh, that's right.
I didn't think about it until just now.
So I mean, so that seems that seems intentional. But
well, I mean, yeah.
But
there's even if you intentionally ripped off Guy Clark, A, you wouldn't be the first.
Yeah.
B, that there's way worse people to rip off.
Oh, totally.
So,
but my thing was that I was just walking out the door, and I have this thing since childhood. As I'm walking out the door, I tend to grab something.
Yeah. I
think is part of that missionary kid thing is that you're always worried that you're never gonna go back to where you've just been.
Mm-hmm. Just like
so you gotta
grab something.
So you gotta take something
like
with you.
This place is on fire, and take something with me.
But I always yeah, like I brought my shoulder bag and my knife in with me. I don't need these things, but but that's kind of how that came to be. But
it sounds like a full band record.
Yeah, but the photograph does mean a lot to me because my grandmother's house in Savannah, Georgia. Even though she was a full-blooded Japanese woman, she married my grandfather during occupied Japan. Being Japanese was just really hard for her because she was really dark and she had a flat nose and she couldn't sing well or play the koto very well.
Yeah.
So a lot like my early childhood experience, somebody told her early in her life that she wouldn't, the marriage arranger told her that she would be a poor marriage candidate because she had such a flat nose and because she was so dark.
Mm-hmm.
And Japanese royalty are supposed to be, pale as shit.
Okay.
So I think she met my grandfather in occupied Japan, and
he's an American soldier.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So he was in the Air Force and
World War II.
And this would have been around the Korean War.
Okay.
Before the Korean War.
Okay.
But
early 50s.
Yeah. So during occupied Japan. Yeah, my mom was born in the middle of the 50s.
Okay. Mine too.
But that would have been around then. I think she saw a ticket out of living this kind of Japanese life where people had been so rude to her about that kind of stuff. So she married my grandfather, and they moved around the States a lot until they eventually settled in Savannah, Georgia. That's where he had been born and raised by some really abusive people. But and you walk in the front door of her house in Savannah, Georgia, when it was still there, the first thing you saw was this picture of my great-grandfather on this table. And so that picture always meant a lot to me. And that picture always meant her to me.
Mm-hmm.
I walk in the door of her house. That's the first thing I see.
Right.
So that picture always had great meaning through that experience. Yeah, it sounds like a full band record. I just got done touring on the record all by myself.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, I did a run with David Ramirez up the West Coast.
You drive every mile of it?
I did, man.
Yeah.
By myself.
Where do you stay? Sleep in your car? You do hotels? What do you do?
I did hotels, and there were a couple times where Fabian, David's manager, just got me in the Airbnb.
Nice.
And
very thoughtful.
Yeah, and I would.
They've been there,
Mm-hmm. I would pay him later, and he would get me a room in separate rooms, pretty much, generally separate rooms.
Yeah,
because we're all guys, either in our 30s or 40s. So
get to a certain point where it's not cute anymore.
Nobody loves sleeping on couches right next to the guy you just spent 8 hours in a van with or something.
But I was sleeping in a bed with. I've definitely done that too. I'm like, all right, well, it's the economics of this are that we can only get 1 or 2 rooms, and so someone's gonna be unlucky and sleep in a bed with your buddy tonight.
Yeah,
it's not great.
I toured with a guy in my late 20s and early 30s where we camped everywhere, so we slept in a tent together for most of the tour. But this was, this was a lot cushier than that, and these were real venues.
I love to hear that.
These were mostly good-sized clubs, and mostly pretty well-attended shows. I mean, we played Tractor Tavern in Seattle, and that was kind of a high point.
Good response?
Oh yeah,
Really?
Yeah, good
to you,
response.
you selling merch and meeting people, and
I
feel
did
like
well
you're...
on merch, but not so much in Seattle. They didn't have much of a space for me to sell merch in Seattle, so people couldn't really see it, and so that was a hard one. But big room, like 230 people at that show. But that was one that struck me funny too, where there were these two girls that were stage left for the whole show. They didn't say anything to me as they were leaving, even though I was right near them as they were leaving the show. They both proceeded to go home, and one of them went home and ordered my stuff from my Bandcamp online. And I thought it was just kind of funny.
Yeah.
But I told David, and he goes, people don't want to carry shit around at shows, man.
Yeah.
I said, yeah, that's a thing. And I'm mostly selling vinyl and shirts.
Yeah.
I don't like, I have CDs, but I really don't try to sell them. I was trying to sell vinyl and shirts. I was trying to sell vinyl more than anything, because I released the album on vinyl, obviously, really technically the same day it came out to streaming. But I was selling it on the road
leading up to it.
Yeah.
That's cool.
San Diego was kind of my favorite show. The sound guy was sick in San Diego, and the staff was so sweet in San Diego. After my set, this older woman that was working the bar in San Diego, she came up to me and said that she played music for a lot of her younger life, and that she was really thankful I was there and that she got to hear me, and that just seemed so kind of unusual, but
yeah, because she sees
'cause
200 shows a year.
Yeah, she probably sees everything. And
yeah.
And the sound guy, I had this nice little moment with the sound guy where during sound check, he asked me if I was going to be, I took 3 acoustic guitars to accommodate all the tunings that these new songs are in. On my other records, there are no strange tunings. On this record, there are 5.
Okay.
In 8 songs. But so it's mostly an out of tune.
Yeah, right.
Record,
yeah.
But in a way. But so I took 3 guitars to accommodate trying to represent this record on the road some, even though I did a hodgepodge of older material and this new material, but I was picking new material that were in new songs in Dadgad, Open G, what else?
Standard.
CAD-FAD, CADF, Sharp AD, or in Double D, and then Standard, yeah. But
you just retune the
one of
them.
One of the weird tuned guitars got a lot more work than the other, yeah. Okay. But my main workhorse has been this Taylor guitar, this Taylor 310 that I've had since I was 16, and it's still my main workhorse live guitar. And that's kind of fun, is that I have that many memories, with that guitar. But the sound guy asked me, I guess because of all the stuff I was already doing with the guitar, he comes up and goes, so are you going to be slapping these guitars at any point? I said, not really. I only do that on one song. I'm not a virtuoso like that. And the first thing he said to me after the set, as I was tearing down to get the stage cleared for David and his band, he goes, I thought you said you weren't a virtuoso. And I thought that was really sweet of him. He didn't have to say that. And he probably sees, thousands of shows per year. So I don't find myself to be a virtuoso, because I listen to players like Chet, and there are guys like that crazy Matteo Mancuso guy, and there are all those people that play 8-string guitars. And so right. I don't see myself as a virtuoso like in those terms, but I like to play a lot of chords, and I think that I think I'm highly emotional, and I think my guitar playing still comes across as highly emotional.
See that,
regardless of having not learned how to read music until I got to college.
Don't you think that was a convenient way to give you a compliment, though? It was
yeah,
like we already said.
That was nice of him.
He took something you said and was like, I thought you said you weren't. That's like an excellent way to give a compliment.
And there was some sweet moments throughout.
Yeah.
It was the first time for me to see that part of the country. I took the 5 all the way from middle of California all the way up to Portland and Seattle, and seeing that part of the country is just amazing.
You been east too?
Yeah, I toured the East with Parker Millsap.
Oh, man.
Like 10 years ago, I did a run with Parker Millsap where I opened for him
fantastic.
He's one of my favorite things that's ever happened.
Yeah.
So is David in a different way. And I've known David for much longer than I've known Parker. But Parker, I opened for him at the Castro. He came backstage and goes, "Have you toured?" And I said, "No." And he said, "You want to?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Well, we'll be in touch." And then after the show loading out, I said, "So how exactly will we be in touch?" and
be more specific.
And he said, "My guy will contact your guy. You have a guy, right?" And at the time I had a guy.
Mm-hmm.
At the time I had a manager who was living in Nashville. So that even worked out because Parker's Nashville based, even though he's really from Oklahoma.
Yeah.
But so his manager just started sending my manager dates to say yes to, and that was my first more legit touring experience. That happened all the way back in 2017, and that was mostly that was Oklahoma, Kentucky, Missouri, and I did some solo shows, and I did a solo show in Ohio. I did a couple showcases on that run in Nashville. We played in Denver, which made no sense because it was or play Kansas City, Missouri, then drive all the way to Denver for one show, and then I had to be back in Kentucky to play like 2 days later. It was
routing
nuts,
of those things is always the way that
it's like
agents
it's like
look
the
at
booking
that.
agent is either trying to kill you or they just play darts
I think
with a map.
they just get little stuff going on where it's like, so we get an offer from blah blah blah, and they go, "It could be done.
Yeah,
It could be. I mean, yeah,
like that's physically possible.
it is. Yeah." And they go, "Yeah.
Could
we
I
make that happen?"
could I tell you a crazy tour story after we pee or something?
Sure.
Could that happen?
Yeah.
Because I have a crazy story that I've never gotten to tell on a podcast
Let's
about a tour.
take a
about
break
that one.
and then we'll hear the tour story.
Sweet. And we're back.
You're good at this. Garrett Owen's tour story in 3, 2, 1.
Oh shit!
Tell me
Okay.
what happened.
Yeah, it was night 2 on tour with Parker Millsap in 2017. So first we played this place in Springfield, Missouri the night before called the Outland. And that was cool. I felt like there were 150 people in that small room, in one of the smaller rooms at that venue. Then the next night we played Kansas City, Knuckleheads, kind of a legendary venue. And it was my first experience with women asking me to sign their shirts while they were wearing them, which is always an odd number, but I'll always remember it fondly.
Sure. You never forget your first.
Yeah, and there was a digital marquee that kept running through, and so I took pictures or I got video of the digital marquee as it was running through Parker Millsap and then my name after, and that was a fun one.
Is it Knuckleheads?
So yeah, Knuckleheads, and I hadn't learned how to filter Airbnb correctly yet, but I got Airbnbs for most of my lodging on that run. But also that run ended up being incredibly lucrative for me. It was really odd. We could talk about numbers if you want, but also if somebody's offended, I don't want to offend anybody. But that run was incredibly lucrative for me because, I mean, inflation was so much less in 2017, and that part of the country is cheaper to live in than the West Coast where I just was, where I think people were shyer about buying merch and stuff because they live in the most expensive part of the country.
Right.
But so on the nights when I sold a bunch of merch, I felt like these are the nicest people in the universe.
Or the richest.
Yeah. Kind of thing. But Kansas City, I hadn't figured out Airbnb that well yet. So I had no idea that I booked an Airbnb in a rough part of town, and that Kansas City has a really rough part of town.
I feel like when you're driving on the east-west highway there, is it 50?
Maybe.
That
It's been a long time, but
that you're like, you can literally, like, if
see
if you're
a
driving
place.
west, you like look to the right, to the south,
yes,
and you're like,
that's
oh man,
scary. Yeah,
that's bad.
That's
and then you
where-
look to your left, and it's like, okay, that's
Yeah.
that's the good part of the
And
city.
I stayed
or
in a
whatever.
place where right where I was looked scary, but right up the hill looked way better.
Yeah.
And because I didn't know how to filter things yet, I get to the Airbnb and I'm greeted by my host. And
First red flag.
yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm greeted by my host, and he's this nice older gentleman. And but I hadn't booked a whole place to myself. So it was like every time I got to this Airbnb, I was gonna have to hang out with the host.
Oh, you just got a room.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I got a room in his house, but it was upstairs. But I had to, walk by him
Walk
to
through
get
the
there.
house.
So
That sucks.
I'm worried about getting the load in on time, but I want to shower before the show. So I don't know if I had the balls to tell him, can we hurry through this introduction thing? Because he wanted to tell me all about how he was from the town that my parents were currently living in, or he was from a nearby town and all this stuff. His whole life history back in Texas before he had moved to Kansas City and stuff. But
He's a lonely person who puts his stuff on Airbnb
Yeah.
for some company.
But I mean, he was a sweetheart, and he's fine. But
Did you get a shower?
yeah, I got a shower before the show. Show was great. Love the show. Got to sign some shirts being worn by women after the show, and got a good night's sleep. Even though it was because it was a rough part of town, he set you up with a garage door opener, so I was able to put my car in his garage. So that felt nice,
Yeah. Secure.
But I had before I was going to journal, I went downstairs in the morning. I was going to journal for 15, 20 minutes before hitting the road to try and drive all the way to Denver, right? So we didn't have a show in Denver, but we had a drive day. We had a travel day to get to Denver, and then we were going to play in Denver the next night. But I get my car out of the garage before I go journal. So my car's just on the street now because I was going to journal, pack, get to Denver, shower, get to a friend's house in Denver. If I'd left when I wanted to leave, I was probably going to get there around between 7 and 9 sometime, probably. It's a long way. It's like 9.5 hours. But while I'm journaling, I hear all these gunshots that don't sound like any of the shots that I've heard right next to my ear as I've shot deer in my adult life, or even when I was 13, I shot my first deer. My grandfather took me hunting, and they weren't the rifle shots. They were automatic rifle stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I go downstairs, and my Airbnb host is hiding behind the door. And he goes, "Get down, get down." And I start crawling towards the window, and I peek through the blinds. There's a gangland style shootout happening between these women that just got into a truck. They're shooting. I think they're shooting some kind of rifle at this house across the street, and these two guys are shooting back at them, and then they throw a rifle case. The women, they throw a rifle case out in the middle of the street, and then they just take off up the road. But then I'm trying to kind of see what's going on. I get my phone out and I start recording through the blinds as this gentleman wearing a wife beater and camo shorts comes out with a pistol in his hand. He comes out of the house and starts just chucking stuff in this green Ford Escape. And then this other guy, much bigger than him, comes out of the same house and comes out the garage, and he starts chucking stuff, just stuff that I can't really see, in like a giant maroon or red SUV. But the guy in the maroon SUV, his car won't start. He's trying to leave the scene of the crime. He's just had this weird shootout, and I'm getting all this stuff with my phone. And one of these dudes is bleeding. I'm not sure who, but oh, by the way, my car is part of the crime scene.
Yeah, your car's out in front.
Yeah.
So you're looking over your car at all this.
Yeah, I'm looking across my car, the top of my car, seeing all this stuff, and but eventually, this gentleman in the wife beater and with the handgun, he gets in the green Ford Escape, and I think they get in there together and take off up the hill because the guy trying to start the big SUV, it won't start, which that's a problem when you've just been a party to a crime.
Sure.
But,
yeah, you want reliable transportation to leave a shootout.
But they have these things in Kansas City, in that part of the town, these weird microphone things that hear gunshots and triangulate it to the police headquarters. So I just want to leave. I've just been a witness to a crime. I've seen these guys bleeding get into a car with guns in their hands and then drive off up the street. But I had the license plate, so I told it to the cops when they but I told it to the cops, and then they told me they found the car a half hour later, blood in the seats, but no driver, no guy, no dudes, of course. But I had on tour, my second day on tour in the first legit tour of my life, I witnessed a gangland shootout over drugs. These women had been living in this house, renting it from this drug dealer. They had found his drugs and started stealing them. And then,
what was the case?
They were a rifle case.
Well, why did they throw it out? I don't
know. But that's in the video on my phone.
Okay, so it's just a detail that's
that stayed in my head.
I was like, where's that going? You know?
Yeah,
like,
why does that matter?
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, but I get it now. Just a detail.
Yeah, but she threw a rifle case in the street as she and her homie were driving away.
Maybe it was a diversion.
I have no idea.
Drive. I'm gonna throw this out.
We're just getting in her way, maybe.
Yeah.
Somehow. But
that's
But that happened, and then the cops get there and they question me, and I had to give a statement.
How are you? Did they even ask why are you here?
They did.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm a musician on tour. I have to play. I'm opening for this guy named Parker Millsap. Of course, they didn't know
who Parker is. Jesus, who are these? people?
Parker's incredible. Yeah, we have to say that. And David Ramirez too. You're both some of my favorite people I've ever gotten to.
You're in good company, man.
That I've ever gotten to hear, every night in a row for a long time. So those are really special. Some of my favorite moments in my life are standing behind a merch table, hearing these people play every night that I look up to so much. So those are really special times for me in that way. And I mean, a lot of songwriters at my level don't get to experience something quite like that. A lot. Yeah. I don't know, but statement to the police officers and detectives. And I come to find out that you can't move things through a crime scene until a judge says so.
Oh my God.
So my car's part of the crime scene, and I'm trying to get out of town. At this point, we're coming up 10, 11 a.m. Around noon, this beat cop who all the way. By the way, this street is steep uphill to get to the highway, and it's just lined with cop cars, dozens by this point, because it's gunfight scene, and this guy, man, I think his name was Officer Hobadek or something like that. It was one of those lots of syllables, possibly Scandinavian.
Mm-hmm.
Or Czech,
something
sounding right. And he was being nice to me because he had lived in Terrell as well.
Yeah,
and he was trying to be nice to me because we were kind of from similar places.
Mm-hmm. And he understands that you have absolute fuck all to do with this situation, and you're just trying to get out of town.
I'm just trying to get out of here.
Yeah.
And none of those guys got on to me about picking a bad part of town. I think they knew I just didn't know what I was doing when I picked that part of town to stay in.
Yeah.
But he goes, okay, I'm going to try and get you out of here, but here's the thing. We still don't want you moving your car through the rest of the crime scene. You're going to need to drive in reverse uphill. And of course,
okay.
And of course, not only do I, with my side view mirror, hit the side view mirror of a cop car, I hit that guy's cop car. The one there.
Thanks, officer.
There are 20-something cop cars on the street, and I hit that guy's side view mirror with my side view mirror.
Nice bit of luck, isn't
trying to leave Kansas City after witnessing a gunfight. But Kansas City has a strong history of gunfights.
How many? Yeah.
The
for
whole
real.
one of my favorite museums in, or one of the only museums I probably care about, is the Jesse James Museum outside Kansas City, about an hour, and the Pony Express Museum. That can take us back to my record if we want, but the Pony Express Museum exists outside Kansas City as well, and I visited both those in the last year.
It's cool.
And I love those kind of places.
I do too.
But that was I texted Parker Millsap's tour manager, and he told me later that he literally stopped the car just so he could tell the band what I had just texted him.
Yeah. I can't drive and tell this story at the same time.
But that was pretty funny.
I love those experiences. Like, even if they're bad, you kind of get a story out of something.
As long as you get through it, you got a great story.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I stayed in some of our friends, like Daniel and another friend of mine, Pat. They lived in this place in Lubbock, and it was across the street from kind of like a halfway house, but it was like the people there were I'm trying to think of a nice way to say insane.
Yeah.
You know? So I have this very, very detailed memory of we're putting stuff in I've always done the, minivan thing. We're trying to load it up, and a guy from across the street walks up, sees me. There's no doubt he is walking directly to me, and and of course everyone else can get away, and they do, and maybe they're in the car or something, and we're just ready to go, and and he's got like a can of chunky soup, whatever that, Campbell's chunky soup.
Yeah.
And he's like talking to me about Miranda or something, and like telling me something about, in this crazy.
Oh, wow.
And I'm kind of trying to follow the details as hard as I can, and
but that's right in line with weird people at shows accidentally spitting in your mouth.
Yeah.
You're trying to get somewhere. You got business to take care of that nobody else thinks about as business because you're a musician. But
right. Yeah, you're like, I'm at work right now.
And also pretty much almost every moment on tour is simultaneously lazy and like being at full-time work. Every single minute.
It's a bunch of hurry up and wait.
Yeah.
It's a really, really strange way of life that people don't understand. They think it's kind of a constant party and orgy and all that, and you're like, it's like none of that. I mean, there can be a little bit of a party sometimes, but
I mean, yeah.
If you're out for that kind of thing.
Yeah, but I think I've come to really love all the weird little quiet moments you get out of it. Like, I finally got to have dinner with Parker Millsap when we were just, and it had nothing to do with a show.
Mm-hmm.
But when we finished eating, he goes, "Yeah, it feels like we're just waiting around for a show, doesn't it?"
Yeah.
I said, "Yeah, it kind of does."
Yeah, that's all we ever do.
Because that's kind of how we knew each other up until that moment. Was only ever at shows and green rooms and.
Well, it's like you and I. Right? I mean, not always at the same show or like the one that we're playing, but like we just hang out in bars.
Yeah.
That's how I know you.
Yeah. We've only had, 3 or 4 conversations, and they've all been at shows.
Yeah. just kind of in a passing thing.
I was not aware that you'd heard me live ever. I had no idea.
Yeah, I mean this must have been mid-teens
Okay.
at Magnolia, like
Yeah.
maybe 2016.
That's very possible. That was the first place in Fort Worth for me to play regularly somewhat.
Yeah, me too. I love that place, that original location.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I miss it.
It was a sweet spot.
Yeah.
It was a real sweet spot.
Met a lot of great people there. Got to
yeah.
jam with a lot of great people there. Just some unbelievable nights, and it's gone.
And I feel like I should fit this in somewhere. While I hope we talk some more about the record, but I do want to fit this in here that you and Ryan hold this real specific place in my head where Richard May was trying to introduce me to some more people, and somehow I never actually met you back then. But he was, Richard was instrumental in me seeing you guys for the first time, probably as RTB2.
Sure, absolutely it was.
And yeah, that was even though I'm mostly this acoustic sad bastard, and I hope to get more opportunities to be electrically rambunctious live, not just on records, but yeah, those are such inspiring times for me, and it's specific to guys that I could meet, that I could shake hands with, and they're really inspiring.
Yeah.
So that's a specific moment, because you go so much of your learning about music life where it doesn't seem practical whatsoever, and then you see a person that you can touch and feel, and they live in a town that's not so far from you, and they're making this music that seems to you to be otherworldly amazing, and that's how I've always felt about you and Ryan.
What was your experience as far as like playing song swaps with Ryan and then seeing RTB2 and like the, kind of how different he can be in those? I mean, the same, but
yeah, like even if he was on this beater acoustic that in his words needed a setup job 10 years ago, he was still going to do these unaccompanied solos and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So then to me, it was like, oh, solo, it's kind of this more eccentric, Jeff Buckley kind of thing happening when I see Ryan, even though they don't sound the same at all, but just in terms of what he's going to do during the set musically, that there are going to be these parts that normally you would be, playing really loudly with him.
Mm-hmm.
And, but they all kind of fit into this really kind of really excited place in my brain where it was also new to me.
Mm-hmm.
Richard was better at talking about the specifics as you guys as a duo, I think. Because for one, Richard had a lot more band experience than I do. I had, jazz combo experience, and I had those little band experiences in high school. But no, I just remember thinking this is huge and powerful. And it's just two dudes. And I also, it's kind of funny when the Black Keys got so huge, I think I thought to myself something like, well, I know this other duo that's way cooler than that. I know this other guitar and drum thing that is just as powerful in a totally different way.
Yeah, it is very different. There's obvious similarities in the approach or something, but I've always sort of viewed it as still Ryan's thing. Like I still think of it as like I'm accompanying him. Like I play in his band kind of thing or something, even though we're a duo. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, I know his approach changes a lot when it's us, and he gives me a lot of
Richard and I
voice.
we had so many conversations where we would always refer to you guys as Ryan and Grady, even though I hadn't met you yet.
Yeah.
Because
yeah, he's very open to what I want to do, and he listens to me, probably too much in some cases, but like we will, like, because at the end of the day, it's his music, and he's like allowed me a space for it to be our music because he's just that generous. He doesn't have to, and it wouldn't like upset me if he was like, no, I just want to do it this way. Shut up, play the drums. I'd be fine with that. But he's been really generous through the, of allowing me a big voice in it. But to me, it's still his art that I'm involved.
No, it always looks like your brain is on. It always looks like you care about what you're doing.
I really do.
Yeah.
I really do.
I think that's something, I think that's important. I think that I don't know if everybody notices, but I think musicians notice it among other musicians. I think even when I suck, other musicians know I care very deeply about what I'm doing. But I think, like I was saying earlier, but there's just a way I present what I do. Even if you're just listening to a recording, that vocally, even though I'm not I don't usually say things that have a clear-cut linear message. But it's clear that I care so very much about what I'm saying, which I feel that way about Billy Corgan. I feel that way about, you looking at Ryan. I feel that way about the way Ryan sings. I feel that way about Scott Weiland. He's probably like my biggest inspiration as a lyricist because Scott Weiland made me feel like it was okay to be myself as a lyricist because it was a way of saying, okay, I can give myself free rein to have this not make perfect sense, but still be highly emotional, and I can still care very deeply about what I'm saying, even if it's not a novel, even if it doesn't have a linear approach like a John Prine song. Even though he has some of the weirdest lines, in there, but
I think the best thing you can take from your influences is be yourself. That's really what they're teaching you. And you can emulate them, you can copy them, but what the ultimate message is, no matter how much you obsess over them or want to be them, is you got to kind of take this baton and run with it and be yourself. And going back to the, my brain is on or whatever, when playing with Ryan, I saw a solo performer recently and I watched this group it was at Dan's Silverleaf in Denton, this group of people all sitting around this one person who's in the middle or the front of the stage. And it kind of looked like almost looked cultish or something, with the way everyone was really gathered. It was like everyone wanted to be as close to him as they could, even if it wasn't right in front of him.
Right.
And I saw, like, everyone wanted to be, it was like he's a light in the middle, and everyone wanted it to shine on him. And I thought about Ryan in that way. And I was like, and I'm like a person or like a person like behind him holding a mirror. And I want to be like, push the light out a little further than it goes already. I'm not the light that everyone's there to like be shown on. Does that make sense? So and I said that to someone recently and they're like, you're a light too. Like, you're fun to watch. I come to see you play in your other things. And I was like, okay, thank you. But when I'm playing with Ryan, I feel very much like I'm that person.
Oh, that's super interesting. That kind of fits into this possibly nonsensical analogy about myself and my playing. I mostly sing as a way to force people to listen to my guitar playing.
Right.
And I almost wish that I didn't have to exist for my guitar playing to exist. But I have to play guitar for you to hear me play guitar. And the way that I get you to pay attention to my guitar playing is by singing.
Yeah.
Because I'm not I'm not Tommy Emmanuel. I'm not any of the guys that beat the crap out of their acoustic guitars while they play all this crazy stuff. I'm trying to communicate something that is subtle, specific, emotional.
Well, that's cool. I'm glad you said that. Like, I like lyrics. I like vocal music, but I do agree. Sometimes it is about what's going on musically and melodically.
Yeah, but I'm more of a person who's trying to really I think the impetus for me singing was trying to get you to pay attention to my guitar playing.
Nothing wrong with that.
Even when my guitar playing was rebelling against what I had just been taught in jazz, where I was kind of writing all these really simple, comparatively much simpler. I mean, there's still chord melody things kind of happening, and I was still thumbing the bass all the time, and there were still multiple elements on one instrument occurring together.
Yeah.
But I was always part of me will always be guitar player first and everything else after. But that doesn't mean I'm not super emotionally invested in every word coming out of my mouth. I'm still 100% behind those things.
I didn't take it that way, but thanks for clearing that up.
No,
anyway.
that's mostly for any listener. I think you get it. I think you get it kind of naturally. I feel like you kind of get me. But
I'm trying to.
Yeah,
for sure.
I feel like you.
I hope to.
I feel like you already have. But yeah, is there anything else we can get into about Memoriam specifically?
I think we kind of did it, man. I feel like it's been good. We took our interesting routes. If there's anything else you'd like to say, I'd love to know it. But I feel like I kind of got what I was looking for here.
Yeah, I mean, let's see. I mean, I've been making these little videos where I explain about some of my favorite guitar things that were achieved on this record. Because I took this series where I bought this online guitar course during my second or third year of taking care of my grandmother before she died. I bought this guitar course, and you could tune in online and watch all these seminars, and you also had access to this online archive of all these private lessons where they were teaching, Stevie Wonder songs or Chet Baker songs. And I've recorded a Chet Baker cover long before this happened, but I have a Chet Baker, I guess it's a jazz standard, but
which one?
Everything Happens to Me is a single in my Spotify.
Okay.
Somewhere.
I saw it. I need to listen to it.
Yeah.
I don't know the song by title.
Right. It's kind of a jazz standard. I mean, you can find almost everybody doing it. You can find Chet Atkins doing it as well. It's real cool.
What Chet Baker record is it on?
Where he's sitting in a moon with a woman on the cover. Chet Baker Sings. Okay. And it was like second or third edition, something like that. Chet Baker Sings 1.
I have one of those.
Chet Baker Sings 2, right?
I think I have one, or the first one, the big one.
I have a new edition that Riverside repressed some of those. Okay. So I have a new one. But
I didn't realize those were a series. I feel like I've seen a box set, maybe I'll, but I need to search that out. Because that one is fantastic.
Well, because he had years on some label, and then he had the Riverside years, right? So it seems like most of those artists had that. Like Bill Evans has that as well.
Miles too.
Yeah. Nat King Cole has Riverside years, and then some years on some other label. Yeah, Miles, of course. But other material. Yeah, I'm a little bit lost on what else to say about Memoriam, even though I feel like I should have more to say about it. But I mean, it's new. I wrote all the songs all the songs that were written by me on the record were written during this period while I was taking care of my grandmother while she had Alzheimer's and dementia. She was 100% Japanese and had a thick Japanese accent, even though she lived in Georgia for 40-something years, and so she had all these southernisms in her Japanese-ness. So she would say things to me like, "I'm gonna give me some chicken strip on potato witches." Yeah, she would say stuff like that. Or she got real mad at me one day, and she said, because I had to stop her from making ramen noodles because she didn't know when the burner was on or off anymore. So one day when I had to stop her from that, she said, "I've been making ramen noodles since before you were born." And I said, "You've been making ramen noodles since before everyone was born."
You're old.
That's why this has to stop. But there's all these songs seem to ruminate on loss, and some things are literally about things I saw her do, like when she would try and bring dead things in the house and try and bring them back to life, dead shrubbery.
Yeah.
But when my cousin was taking care of her, she brought in a dead owl, put it in a paper bag, and put it in the freezer. And he found it.
Yeah.
And got his phone out and records himself and her as he asks her, "Why is this in the house?"
Yeah.
And she didn't really have a reason, but
kind of cool to preserve an owl. I mean, owls are cool.
Yeah. In Rosemary and Thieves, when I say she used to keep such a beautiful garden, but now she just waters the weeds, that's directly from kind of watching her. She wasn't doing that so literally, but she was constantly trying to bring dead stuff back to life.
Yeah.
And there's that thing about my ex who killed herself on New Year's. Like, some of these things are places where I found a way to fit things that actually happen, and then some of the lyrics are much more close to abstract and much more that weird style of that impressionist kind of thing.
Is there a bit of taking these things that like could traumatize you and like get and externalizing them a little bit?
Oh, totally. Yeah.
It's like, to me, sometimes I feel like someone will tell you a story, a traumatic story, to kind of share, to not only share it with you, to open up to you, but to leave a little bit. It almost feels like a little piece of it they get to kind of take away from themselves, and they give a little bit to you.
Mm-hmm.
And like, is that a part of wanting to write about these things?
Yeah, I mean, I've always wanted to make or be a part of something that could be perceived as pretty in some way. Since I was little, I think I've always known that there were things in the world that were pretty.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I've spent a lot of my life feeling like I was really ugly in different ways. So I've always wanted to try and like make something like, okay, so I can't be pretty, but maybe I can make something pretty.
Yeah.
And I think also there's an element of seeking out healing through writing and processing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of why I allow myself to write for a long time. I mean, Rosemary and Thieves took me almost 2 years to write because it took 2 years to experience that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. And because writing to me is never about just, it's rarely about just writing about a character. And then sometimes I've got this song called I Must Be Evil. I've got this song called Sad-Eyed Son. And those are much more character based, where I take on a character and then I write from a perspective of this super damaged character who's damaged in a way that I'm not as familiar with, but I have some familiarity with. You
can fill in the spaces with what you know, but you're still kind of...
Yeah, there's always some room for me in there. I've got to put myself in there somewhere, but I'm also trying to write from a character place. But this record is just so personal.
It's very beautiful.
Thank you. It's the most personal. I think it's the most creative. It's definitely the most complex so far, but I think Taylor Tatch did a really beautiful job of producing it, and I can't thank him enough for being patient with me. Because I require a lot of patience.
Sure. and Daniel too, I guess.
And Daniel is insanely good at so many parts of music. Yeah, and he's always existing in service of songs.
Yeah. I've gotten to play with him very minimally, and I really enjoyed it. And I anytime I get to see him, I'm very, very excited about it. Mm-hmm. He's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I'll try and see him with the gents any chance I get. And And for him to play with us at my Quiet Lives release was really special. But it was also kind of this weird moment where, like I mentioned earlier, where me and all the Polydogs were talking to each other when he wasn't around about he doesn't need charts.
Yeah.
Some of these songs are nuts, and he doesn't need charts.
Yeah. It just comes easy for some people, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you have some thought of like what's next? Do you have any things on the horizon tour wise, or like shows or anything you want to like that you're excited about, that you want to promote?
Well, there's something going on that's making me less excited about promoting there's some stuff going on behind the scenes that is really bothering me about. I have an album release show booked for December 14th, but there's some stuff happening behind the scenes that's got me wondering if I kind of want to cancel it or something. But that would be a whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm leaning towards just do it anyway, because some people will care. But there's some stuff happening behind the scenes that's got me really messed up emotionally about. And it's just contributing to my overall mood, I think.
Yeah.
But so I mean that so far that's happening. I wish I were a little more surefire about it.
Where is it?
It's supposed to be at Dan's December 14th.
Mm-hmm.
But
My apologies.
no problem. So that's kind of more that's coming up pretty quick. Doing something with my friends Tips and Obermiller early February at the Cicada in Fort Worth, and I'm trying to book something for you, me, and Ryan, for me to go trio and for you guys to play at New Mags,
Yeah,
kind of thing.
that could be fun.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm trying to get back to self-booking. I don't have. Yeah, like I guess I should be more explicit about the really cool tours that have happened to me have always just been things that just kind of happened. Like David, after years of me and David Ramirez not being in touch, I never stopped sending him my new material. I would always just send him what bounces from the studio, kind of no matter how long it had been since we'd last talked. There had been a time when it had been at least 6-7 years since we had a conversation, but I just kept on sending him stuff. And he texted me back that he really appreciated that I kept on sending him stuff, and that he wanted me to open for him in Europe, and then that couldn't work out for a bunch of reasons. And then, so I did a shorter run with him back in February, and then I just did this run with him that I've been back home from for about 4 weeks. The West Coast, 11 shows in 13 days.
Love it.
But yeah, best time of the Parker runs and these David runs I put in like some of my favorite weeks of my whole life for sure.
Here's to many more, man.
But yeah, I'm trying to make a commitment to get back to self-booking, and if people ask me to do stuff, I'll do it. People kind of have quit asking because I didn't do stuff for such a long time, but
you get back in the mix.
Yeah,
phone starts ringing more.
I hope so, but
you gotta kind of manufacture it.
Yeah, you gotta kind of keep trying for a minute. But yeah, if people ask me to do stuff, I'll do it.
Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Thanks
I'm
for
glad
listening.
we did it.
Me too.